It's me, Geordie Pete Redding, and it's a good day to be a Geordie. It's got a real Geordie flavour to it because my next guest is an award-winning sports journal. He's got a phone book contact list that's worth millions. I can only ever get him on Twitter. Most recently celebrating the launch of his new book, Our Gazza, the Untold Tales. So it's a welcome back to Hollywood Balls for John Richardson.
Cheers, Pete. That's a great introduction. I think we'll leave it there.
Job done. How are you, John? What have you been up to?
I'm good, Pete. Trying to flog a few copies of the old book. It's not quite bargain basement yet, no, but yeah, it's doing very well. Obviously, no live football at the moment was a bit frustrating. Normally, we'd be starting the season now, wouldn't we? And very excited and everything, but we have to wait to September the 12th. Covered a few games before it ended, but very surreal. Turning up in your mask there and no fans. Easier to park, of course. Just park outside, wherever you want, sir. But very surreal times, Pete.
It is. I mean, you're sort of we're looking at the Champions League as well at the moment, and that just seems there's a Champions League game every game for the next 4 or 5 days. And it does. I mean, I know the games have to be played, and I know that it's good that compared to nothing, we do have something, but it just feels like that old, when you were at school and it was like, come on, hurry up, there's only 10 minutes left, get the game finished. It just seems that, they're trying to, they're meeting a deadline, aren't they? They've got to play the games.
There's one reason, isn't it? And it's called cash. Don't forget a lot of money's at stake. The TV contract, is there.
Yeah.
That has to be fulfilled, which it is. I mean, I'll give you an example. I covered Sheffield United and Chelsea just before the end of the season. Sheffield United won 3-0. Now, can you imagine Bramwell Lane, full house, the beating Chelsea 3-0, the roof would have come off, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But you're looking at it, you're thinking, is anybody really bothered? It's very strange. On the Champions League, I must admit, I mean, it's only a one-off, but I love this sort of concertinaed competition. A one-off job, match after match. I think it's really exciting. I mean, I wish we could have this every year, but of course we're not going to, because of course it's money again. You want the 2 legs, blah, blah, blah. But it's really exciting football. I mean, the two games.
It's a breath of fresh air, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's like a mini World Cup, isn't it?
Exactly.
With really top teams. And, we've seen 2 good games already. There's Barcelona and Bayern Munich, which I can't wait to see. And for once, for the first time, I've thought, well, the crowd, not having a crowd hasn't mattered so much. I mean, still, don't get me wrong, I want crowds to come back. Can't wait for that. But it has, as you say, it's been a breath of fresh air.
Good stuff. Okay, we've got you on about the book, so it is about our one and only, one of football's most loved sons. Let's take it back, because this book's been a real labour of love, hasn't it? And finally released, and boy, do people love it, as you've said.
Yeah, well, the good thing is, I mean, my last book, as you know, was the Gary Speed book, and that was completely different. I mean, I was speaking to people, and some of them, we'd end up in tears, because we're, going back over things, and it was very poignant. But this was exactly the opposite, Pete. This was laughter most of the time, because yourself, a lot of the Gazza anecdotes. I mean, they're just hilarious. I mean, you'd think they're just made up, but as you know, they're not. And the things he got up to. So, I had a long, say, lunch with Brian Robson, for instance. It started at 12 o'clock, finished at 8:30. Not much food was consumed, but it was fantastic. It was fantastic. The thing was that I'd been also asked to deliver a trophy for Robbo. He just won something in the area. Of course, drink was involved, and he forgot all about it, left it at the restaurant, had to go back the next day. But no,
I've left my trophy.
As you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, as you know, I've spoken to lots of people connect with Gazza. Most of it was just hilarious. We were just laughing down, if I saw them face to face or the phone, we were just laughing our heads off. And, it's so ridiculous. Now, lots of people would have heard some of the tales, but they wouldn't have heard others. So, it was hard work, because all these different interviews, but well worth it in the end.
I think as well, from my point of view, John, the timing couldn't be better because, you know, there are Gazza stories out there, but if people went to go and look for them, John, you know, with all due respect to everyone, they're cracking stories, but it's the same ones that keep cropping up, you know. So this couldn't be better timing. You famously interviewed Gazza, though, when he was a Newcastle youth player, and that famous Youth Cup winners as well they were. Was he a standout talent even then?
He was. I mean, I was on the Newcastle Journal then, the local morning paper. So I was covering Newcastle and the other team just up the road. Can we mention them? Sunderland.
Yeah.
And obviously, I would cover the reserves and the youth team, whereas the national papers would just concentrate on the first team. And I knew that, you know, I went to see the youth games, and they were on this run in the 1984 in the FA Youth Cup, and he stood out. I mean, quite a few of them did, to be fair. I mean, the likes of Joe Allen looked very good, you know, and Joe's had a decent career. There were other decent players. It was a good side. And it was Colin Suggett, who was the youth team coach. He said, I don't know, it was the quarter-final, semi-final stage or whatever. He says, "Oh, would you like to interview any of the players?" I said, "Are they able?" Because, I mean, they're only 17, 18, some of them. He says, "I know somebody that will be all right with you, Paul Gascoigne." "Oh, yeah, I like him." I said, he looks a fair talent. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, come along to Benwell, you know, the old training ground. As Kevin Egan said, needed fumigating when he took over. I mean, it was so ancient. Anyway, got to the car park there to meet Gazza, and he comes along with that cheeky grin. I said, "Hi, Paul, it's John." He said, I know, man. I said, "Anyway, where can we go to do the interview? Do you want to go to a local cafe, whatever?" He says, "How much money are you getting me, man? How much money?" I said, "Just a minute." I said, "Hey, I've covered this club now for a few years, you know, senior players. Nobody's asked me for money. What's going on?" "I'm only joking, man. I'm only joking." He says, "My mum gets the journal. She'd love to see me in the Newcastle Journal." So that was it. So I thought, you know, straight away, this lad's a bit different. You know, and he was fantastic to interview, you know, considering he was only, just 18 or maybe still 17. And that was it then. He was that cheeky little lad that I could handle. I was just, what was I, 6 or 7 years older. But I could handle him because you have to have a sense of humour to be with Gazza. You know, anybody that was serious wouldn't have a chance. You know, you'd look down your nose at him and think, "Oh, you know, can't put up with this." But I had the same sort of sense of humour. Not quite the same sort of tricks, but I was the office sort of practical joker. So the relationship was formed.
So you resonated. Speaking of Gazza, funnily enough, he was at the Metro Centre, and my mum, he'd broken onto the scene. My mum knew I was black and white daft, and she spotted Gazza, and she went up and she said, "Paul," she said, "my son's a massive fan. Can I have your autograph, please?" And Gazza said to my mum, "Only if you give me your phone number." So there's my Gazza story. Speaking
It should have been in the book.
I know. Speaking of Gazza at Newcastle, we know that famous Vinnie Jones squeeze image. But having said that, you know, I was at that game, and funnily enough, Vinny and him he had a proper battle marshalling him, because Gazza was all over the place that day, and he actually, which a lot of people don't know, he nutmegged Vinnie Jones twice that I can remember. But it was all remembered about that squeeze, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, as you know, Vinny and Gazza now are huge friends.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't on that day, as you know. I mean, it was just a case of, "Vinny, I'm going to teach you, you little upstart, you know, because you are trying to take the old Mickey out of me. So I'll sort it out." But I mean, fair play to the photographer. I forgot now who it was. It was a top photographer who managed to capture that moment. And of course, it went into modern day parlance. It went viral, didn't it?
Yes.
You know, it was a fantastic. There was a rumor, which I had to sort out, that it was all manufactured, that it didn't actually happen, that he didn't actually grab the unmentionables, but he did.
He did. He did. There you go. An exclusive on as aptly named Hollywood Balls. There we go, moving swiftly on. John, a lot's been made of Gazza turning Man United down for Spurs. But, everyone's had their say in it. But do you believe he would have been better off at Old Trafford?
That's a very good question, Pete. In all honesty, I don't know. Because, we all know that Man United wanted him. Alex Ferguson went away on holiday, having been told by Gazza that he'd be joining them. Gazza obviously was a little bit afraid of Sir Alex when he met him, and just said yes, but then went away, and the story. Chris Waddle got a grip of him and said, why don't you go and talk to Terry Venables? In answer to your question, I've got to say that I think Terry Venables handled him brilliantly.
Yeah.
I think any disciplinarian, and that would have been Fergie, also Kenny Dalglish, as you know, at Liverpool, was desperate to sign him. People argue that Terry gave him too much rope and he almost hung himself. I don't really agree with that. I think if you stifle Gazza, he won't deliver. I remember going back to his young Newcastle days when Jack Charlton was manager. He was frightened of Jack, and Jack started it, but it's Willie McFall who really continued it. And I think under Jack, he wouldn't have performed. Now, Jack would mean well, because he think, right, I'm trying to get the best out of you. But I think to get the best out of Gazza, you've got to let him have his moments, if you like. So, very, very good question. A difficult question to answer. Obviously would have won more elsewhere, but would he have enjoyed himself? I don't know. I think Terry Venables at the time was the right man. And also it proved later, didn't it, with England, Euro 96, that Gazza was happy again. So, I spoke to Terry, obviously in the book, and Terry's just got fantastic memories of him. He could have said, oh, he let me down over this, he let me down over that. None of that, none of that. So I think we saw the best of Gazza under Terry.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I agree entirely with your train of thought. That a disciplinarian might just have shut Gazza down a little bit. My mind still boggles though at what the Italians made of Gazza. Lazio took him to their hearts, but did you get over to see him when he was in Italy?
I was there a lot of the time. I was unfortunately staying with him sometimes in this great big villa, and all I can say is don't ever fall asleep when he's around, because you wake up with different things altered. Let's put it that way. His sense of humour didn't sit right with Italians. Italians, well, they've got their own sense of humour if they've got one. He was a fish out of water there. It was the wrong club to go to. I was surprised he went there, because there were other clubs after him. You name them. In fact, bigger Italian clubs than Lazio. But he ended up there, and you wonder whether his agent at the time, Mel Steen, had something to do with that. If you get my drift, I
do.
So he ended up really at the wrong club. Rome's a lovely city; it's my favourite city. So for me, it was fantastic. Whereas I would go round and visit places. Gazza wasn't interested in that. So you still there?
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, mate.
No worries. There we go.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
No worries.
Low battery.
Plugged in.
It's a Gazza. It's Gazza. No. So no, it was the wrong club, and he didn't play that. He didn't play that many games because he was injured. He used to play tricks on some of his teammates there, which didn't go down too well.
I can imagine.
Letting down the Roberto Di Mattia's tyres didn't exactly help the cause. But he had flashes of brilliance. But to be honest, when he joined Rangers after Lazio, that was the real Gazza again.
Yeah, apart from launching a cult of bleached blonde hair on the blue side of Glasgow, it's fair to say that he played probably the best football of his career for Rangers, didn't he?
I would agree. He was happy there. Also, he had another mate in Ali McCoist, of course.
Yeah.
Really hewn from the same cloth, if you like. They got on great. Derek McInnes was another mate. So he enjoyed himself off the field. He used to stay, and again, I used to stay with him at Cameron House, which is a lovely hotel on the banks of Loch Lomond, just outside Glasgow. Jimmy Five Bellies would be with us all, and I remember one evening, because I was still doing his column, when he's at Rangers, and I arranged to come up, and I always thought it was safer to see Gazza the night before the game, because I thought, well, he can't get up into any mischief, I'd be safer. So anyway, I turn up at Cameron House. It's a lovely evening. I think it was early autumn, and first guy I see is Jimmy Five Bellies. I said, where is he? He said, oh, he's in the bar. I said, he's in the bar? What's he doing in the bar? Oh, we're going to have a game, mate. We're going to have a game. I said, what game? We're having a shots game. So I thought, what the hell's going on here? Anyway, so going to the bar. Right, sit on the stool, man, he said. Right, we're having shots. I said, you're playing tomorrow? Oh, I'll be all right. Anyway, first one off loses. First one to fall off the bench or whatever, the stool. That's the end of the game. So we're having all these shots. God knows how many. Of course, I'm the first to fall off, aren't I? So I fall off. Don't know anymore. I just wake up the next day, minus a few things, eyelashes, things like that. Down below, I've been shaved. I mean, typical Gazza. But I'm thinking, and I wake up bleary-eyed and feeling ill and everything. I go for trying to get some breakfast. Jimmy's there, hungover. He's hanging over the chair, looking terrible. I said, where's Gazza? Oh, he's gone off. He's because they're having a little training session. Anyway, I go there later, to watch the game. Who's man of the match?
Gazza.
Paul Gascoigne. Yeah, incredible.
Absolutely amazing. We're talking about moves now. He's done Newcastle, Spurs, he's Lazio, Rangers. There's other clubs involved in that. Was there ever a return to Newcastle marked out, John?
No, I don't think there was, Pete, to be fair. That's a good question. Never been asked that before. I don't think there ever was. I don't know. I mean, we're talking about probably Lazio, aren't we? Yeah. Whether to come back from Newcastle, but no, that was never mentioned. There were other clubs in for him. I think Aston Villa were one. I think there was a talk about going back to Spurs. There's a few other clubs, but not Newcastle. That's strange. That it never cropped up.
It was funny because we were talking to our regular guest Kevin Campbell just a week ago, Super Kev, and he played in a game where Kevin scored at St James's Park, but Gazza was playing that day, and Gazza started for Everton, and Gazza started the move that led to Kevin's goal. And I said to Kevin, it was funny. It sort of it was if the Newcastle fans realised that might be the last time they saw Gazza, and when he got substituted, he got a standing ovation, which was a lot different from his first appearance when he came back with Spurs. But it was as if the Newcastle fans knew that was the last time they'd get to see him.
Yeah, I mean, when you analyse it, he didn't play for Newcastle for many seasons, did he?
No,
and yet he's still an absolute hero up there, as you know. Wherever he goes, well, like I say, he can't buy a drink. Nobody should be buying him a drink, but they can't do enough for him. He's loved, cherished, if you like. I mean, let's be fair. He's the greatest British talent of our generation, isn't he? By far.
He is, and funnily enough, researching's purposes which was a joy to be able to go through all the Gazza stuff before talking to you, though. And it's the same. All of these, the Bleacher Report, the Mail, the Express, the Mirror, they all do their favourite and finest Gazza moment. But it does come down to two for me, and they're both at Wembley. So for you, was it the Spurs free kick or the Scotland goal?
No, it's got to be the Scotland goal for me.
Yeah.
I mean, like most Englishmen, the jocks aren't my favourite. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of jock mates, but when we're playing Scotland, that's it. Really probably the biggest enemy we've got in football for me. And so for that to happen, and also for that celebration, the dentist chair celebration. Now, talking to Brian Robson and a few other people, that wasn't prearranged. was just done,
Yeah.
impromptu, if you like. And Brian says that only Gazza could think of something like that. He's got such a quick mind. He's quick-witted. He comes over as daft as a brush, Geordie. He's not. He's a lovable lad, and his intelligence. He's got football intelligence, obviously, but he's sharp. He's sharp. He could do anything he wanted to do, if he put his mind to it. And to think of that celebration just like that was amazing, and everybody joined in, didn't they? It was fantastic. I mean, the goal was great. I mean, poor old Colin Hendry. He has to live with that, doesn't he? And
he does. People still see him in the street and look over their shoulder.
And of course, Andy Gordon was his Rangers teammate.
Yeah,
who was the goalkeeper. So for me, it was fantastic. I mean, the free kick against Arsenal at Wembley. He just a few minutes before. I mean, it was early, wasn't it? But he'd taken a knock, and Terry Venables was telling me that. Of course, Terry's on the bench there, thinking, "What the hell's he doing? He can hardly stand." And he was yelling. He was trying to yell for somebody else to take the free kick because, as you know, it was 35 yards out at least. But of course, Gazza ignores everybody, and it's one of those. Oh, what you do? Oh, goal!
Amazing, isn't it? And
two great memories.
Two great memories. I've got to ask you finally, John. Do you think we will ever see the likes of Gazza again as a footballer? No.
I don't think so, because it's like, will we see another Lionel Messi? I don't think so. I don't know. Well, I was going to say, I don't know why. I think a lot of it is coached out of them, Pete, as youngsters. I mean, I've seen young players playing and they get yelled at, and you can't do this, you can't do that. I think the nearest player to him in the Premier League at the moment, and he's not nearly as good, so don't say it's another Gazza, but I think Jack Grealish has got similarities where he can glide past players. He knows how to pass. He can score goals. I like Jack Grealish, but he's not Paul Gascoigne.
No.
I mean, hey, there are some really, really good players. I think Gazza was a one-off, because I think it's the same in music. I know you like your music.
Yep.
I think a genius in music has a screw loose usually. There's odd exception. I mean, Bruce Springsteen's pretty normal, but most of them you can look at them and think, oh yeah, they're a bit mad. And I think the same in football. I think you just have to be a little bit mad, and Gazza was more than a little bit mad, but he combined everything brilliantly. He was a genius, absolute genius. And in answer to your question, I hope we see somebody like that again, but I don't think so.
Okay, we'll leave it at genius. Sports fans of Hollywood Bulls, if you do one thing today or this week, go out, get yourself a copy of it. Our Gazza, the Untold Tales, from our very own John Richardson. John, thanks so much for being on the show.
Pete, my pleasure. Thank you very much.